Joining me now as he does each and every week is Sky News Australia's media watchdog columnist, the great Gerard Henderson.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Now, very interesting thing from Four Corners,
Yes.
where you've pointed out some footage of this misleading commentary around the protests, and I just want to play a grab of it first.
On October 7, 2023, the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel lit a fuse inside Australia's extremist scene. One group celebrated the deaths of nearly 1,200 people.
I'm smiling and I'm happy. I'm elated. It's a day of courage. It's a day of happiness. It's a day of pride. It's a day of victory. This is the day we've been waiting for.
Israel's war in Gaza sparked mass protests, and while the vast majority were peaceful, some at the Sydney Opera House chanted anti-Semitic slogans.
Well, I've written about the general program in my Weekend Australian column tomorrow, but this particular instance is quite misleading because it gives the impression that somehow or other that demonstration that occurs there was somehow later on. And in fact, what happened was the IDF didn't go into Gaza until 2 weeks after that. So there was no relationship between that, and that was in no sense in response to the IDF activities in Gaza. So that is very misleading. Anyone who's just come across it would think, oh, this is in reaction to the IDF, but it wasn't.
It's
very misleading.
It's a cover-up of the broader issue. And this is when people say to me, well, what could Anthony Albanese have done to prevent Bondi? What I say to them is they could have, where that footage was, where the ABC had the voiceover, there were protests sparked by the war in Gaza.
Yeah.
That where that voice came over, that was actually a protest from a few days after October 7. There had been no war. So
there had been no
first of all, error on Four Corners.
2 weeks before the war,
it.
and they haven't corrected it. But 2 weeks before the war started, so it was no excuse. It was misleading. Could have been corrected. Hasn't been corrected. Probably never will be corrected.
Prime Minister cover because nothing was done about these radicals out there in Western Sydney. Nothing was done about them, and that's the problem. That's what the Jewish community is annoyed about.
And that's where the whole anti-Semitism of recent years started.
I agree.
It started there on the 9th of October, well before Israel went into Gaza.
Now, Karen Middleton from the Saturday paper, she gets a good run on the ABC. Let's have a listen.
Karen, the point from Lydia Thorpe and others is that this sort of racial hatred really hasn't been treated seriously enough. It's been terrible since the Voice referendum defeat. Is there a point there, do you think?
Yes, I think so. I'm sure, well, I know that there is a process to be followed before you determine something a terrorist act. So there is often a little bit of a lag when that occurs. I think that happened with the Bondi Junction assessment, and then the other event in the Muslim preacher who was attacked. There was a hesitation there.
Gerard.
Well, that's misleading again. That I'm not aware of any terrorist attack on a Muslim preacher at all. There was on a Christian bishop of one of the Armenian faiths. There was a knife attack on him. We know the story. Someone's been arrested. Someone's been charged. We can't really comment on it, but that occurred. But the suggestion here that somehow there's been a terrorist attack on a Muslim preacher just isn't true. Now, we can all make mistakes, but someone like David Spears should be able to correct it. Or later on, Karen Middleton should be able to go back and say, look, what I said earlier is not quite right. Could I correct it at the end of the program? That didn't happen. So you get the impression that there's been this attack on this Muslim preacher, a terrorist attack, which isn't true. It hasn't happened. And if it has happened, someone should say when it happened.
And very awkwardly framed, as you said, giving off impressions that may not.
Yes, it's just misleading because there's been an attack on a Christian bishop.
Okay, let's talk Malcolm Turnbull. He's gone on the ABC again today, but let's have a listen.
Yeah.
My guest is the former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. Turning to the Liberal Party, Susan Lee is likely to face a challenge for the leadership from Angus Taylor. Who do you think is the best person to lead the party?
I wouldn't offer an opinion. I think leadership's obviously always important, Sally, but really the problem the party has got is that it has drifted away from the centre of Australian politics. It's become lost in this sort of world, this bubble of populist right-wing media.
Hey, I think he's talking about us.
He is. He's talking about Sky News, but what Malcolm Turnbull? I mean, he's now a miserable ghost that he said everyone else was, and he never would be. But what he's talking about is the failure of the Liberal Party. But what he overlooks, and we've discussed this once before, is it all commenced on his watch. In the 2016 election, he went for a very long election campaign. It was badly conceived. The Liberal Party lost 14 seats to Labor, and it's never really recovered from that. It's had subsequent bad elections. But somehow Malcolm Turnbull saying is the problem is Sky News or the Australian or something else, but he never looks at what the real problem was, which was started with him.
Thank you so much for your time and your insights as
Thank
always,
you.
Gerard.